particularly special book that has been published. In fact, it was released just a couple of weeks ago, and the book details well the journey of grief, but through the eyes of a 7-year-old. It's quite simply called "I Miss My Daddy," which I think, as the name suggests, just sums up what a little boy must be feeling who's never going to see his dad again. Just a little something I want to play in before I catch up with the co-author. Her name's Alicia English. Just something that I think will help prime our thinking around this book and how it all came to be. All right, let's see. There we go.
Hello everyone, my name is Alicia English, and with me today I have a very special boy. You want to introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, my name is Matthew English and I am 7 years old. My daddy passed away in January, and it's because he had coronavirus. So he went to the hospital. He was on the ventilator. A ventilator is a machine to make people sleep so then they can get a little better. Then my daddy passed away. Now we're making a storybook of him. Now let my mommy talk to you, please.
Okay, so as Matthew was saying, the two of us wrote this book called I Miss Daddy, which we are launching on the 25th of August, which is next week, right, Matthew?
Mm-hmm.
And that is a very special day because it is actually, well, it would have been my husband's 46th birthday. So we are asking everyone out there to come and support us. The book will be made available from Wednesday, the 25th of August. One copy is 55 Rand, and you can get in touch with us by emailing Alicia at oliveexchange.co.za. And we hope to see you guys at the launch, right, Matt?
Yes.
See you, folks.
Goodbye, everybody.
I saw on social media a while ago, Alicia and Matthew, and he's the co-author, 7 years old of this book. And I mean, I sit here with a lump in my throat because it's that kind of story. Alicia, thanks very much for joining us this morning on Hot Breakfast.
Morning, Aiden. It's good to be with you.
All right. Listen, I mean, it's traumatic when death occurs, and at the moment, we've just got so much death happening around us. We're all, I think, a little bit numb, just knowing how many people, as part of our social circle, as part of our family circles, have succumbed to coronavirus. But it's got to be really confusing for little kids. You've got 3 young children. Matthew's your middle child, one older, one younger. It can't be easy at all for them to come to terms with the fact that daddy's never coming home again.
No, I think you're absolutely right, Aiden. It's tough because you have kids who one moment had the dad, and then the next moment he was in hospital, and 3 weeks later I pull them into a room and tell them that their dad had passed away. So it's certainly not easy because my husband was a very active and very present father. Um,
Mhm.
and my I still talk about him, especially the two little. The older one is 18, so he kind of does that thing that teenagers do, and young adults do. They don't really talk to their parents.
Yeah.
Um, but the little ones, especially, they still cry. They still want to go to bed late. Not that they want to go to bed late at night. They go to bed alone. Just yesterday, Matthew was up late because he missed his dad and he wants to sleep in the bed with his mom and his brother. So it's really something to get used to, and we haven't even we're not nearly close to getting to grips with our grief.
Yeah. And talk to me about the idea for a book, because I know that initially it was almost the idea had been to put a scrapbook together and a bit of a collage, but that morphed into let's maybe do something a little bit more substantial that everybody else can get to share. We seem to have lost.
I was while I was working with or sitting with Matthew, with the idea of doing the scrapbook as you put it together. It's just something very simplistic, with his own crayon drawings of himself and his dad and our family, and put some words together. I was also having this parallel, one can call it that, conversation with God, trying to figure out what the heck is up with death, why, what's the reason, what's the meaning behind it? Because with us being Christians, I needed to know that there was something better that was going to come from this, other than us just sitting up with our grief at night. And so, we always have been that kind of couple that, do things with deeper meaning. And the answer came to me as, instead of doing this book for Matthew, there must be so many other children out there. Because as we've seen in the news, I mean, we still see it daily, people are dying and kids are left as orphans, and so that really inspired me to take a step further and not just keep it for myself and my kids, but to actually do something that is beautifully illustrated with a message, that kids can relate to at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I don't want you to tell us the story in the book, because I'd love for people to go out and get the book. And there's part of this writing of the book that you're saying you'd like to have it available and accessible in under-resourced schools as widely as possible. Just talk to me about that thinking.
Yes, so I think that, there are so many kids, obviously, that lost parents, grandparents, because remember also we have, kids being raised by the grandparents and extended family members, and so many people have passed on. And the reason why I've identified the schools is that by getting it into the hands of this, or getting it into school libraries, more kids will be able to access the book freely, as opposed to me just donating books to individual children. So we've had a first print run, about 3,000 copies, and 1,000 copies will be distributed or are being distributed this month, to under-resourced schools. I'm starting in Mitchell's Plain because that's where I'm from. My son is in Lisbeth Primary School, so that's where we're starting. And what we want to do with the 2,000, the remaining 2,000, is to actually sell those copies so that we can obviously cover the print bill, and then hopefully some more money to print more copies, to give more copies away to schools in under-resourced areas.
Right. So we'll stick the details up on our Facebook page, so people who are part of this live feed, or people who watch it a little bit later, either on Facebook or YouTube, they'll have the details. But maybe for people sitting at the office, people in cars and so on, what do they need to do to get this book, or to contribute to the cause that you've just outlined?
So they can definitely get in touch with me by email, and you will put that details up as you mentioned. But I want to say to people, what we also want to do is we want to actually, as funds become available, because I'm doing it as an individual, as funds become available, we actually translate it into other South African languages and roll it out to other provinces in the country, because I feel like this is really a book that all kids across the country, will be able to relate to, at least those who have not just necessarily lost parents or loved ones because of corona, but also we have, gender-based violence, we have crime and those kinds of things. And so we want people to come and us and partner with us in that way. And they can certainly reach me.
All right. Well, we'll put all those details up on our social media. People who want to get a hold of Alicia, people who want to buy books, people who want to contribute to that cause, there'll be an opportunity once you connect with her to be able to sort that out. Alicia, I think this is, sadly, it's very needed. It's the one aspect, I think, of dealing with grief that is not too much available on, and it's how to reach particularly youngsters, young children who've lost, as you say, a pillar in their life. They had a grandparent, a parent, it could be an older sibling, could be an aunt and uncle. It's very, very confusing for them, and the fact that a 7-year-old has not co-authored this this book, I think brings it to a level that that they'd be able to relate to. So once again, just sorry for the tragedy that has befallen your family, but thank you for the courage. Thank you for that brave little man who's decided he wants to honor his dad by writing a book. It certainly is going to help so many others.
Thank you, Aiden, and we hope that this would even inspire other families, to find that purpose amidst of the pain, because
Right.
that is really as much for us.
All right, going to park it there for this morning. Her name's Alicia English, along with her 7-year-old son, Matthew. The two of them ended up authoring a book. It's called I Miss You, Daddy. And she's hoping that some 10,000 copies of this will end up in school libraries across the country, not just in English, but in as many of the official languages as possible. Thanks there to